It's blinking. I thought we'd get to, since we had both of you family experts here, we could look at these pictures and y'all could tell me who was who so I can remember them.
Okay.
Y'all want to do that?
Yeah, I'm willing.
Okay. We got to start over here. We already know who this is.
Yeah, we know who.
That's Melicue James Townley.
Yeah. That's who he is.
And who's that next to him?
His wife.
And what's her name?
Adelaide.
Walthall.
Yeah. She's our Walthall.
She's our Walthall?
Mm-hmm.
And where are they in the family?
Well, they're Melicue's daughter.
Say that again?
He's the Walthalls are Melicue's wife.
Okay. And they're my great-grandfather?
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct? And they're your grandfather. That's your grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Down there below them. Can you see that, Mom?
Yeah.
Who's that? Is that Aunt Noni? Or can you tell?
Where?
You can talk.
The one, that's your mother. That's your grandmother.
That's my grandmother. I always get them confused. That's Bertie Townley.
That's right. Bertie Townley Carswell.
Okay.
As a young woman.
Now we're going up straight above. Let's see. Oh, that's my Papa Carswell. I know that one.
Yes.
I recognize him. And then up there next to him, that's my mom. I gotta get the glare out. Okay. When was that taken? Do y'all know? Mom?
Which one?
The one up at the very top of you?
The one with the blonde, the draped picture. You were about 20, 21, weren't you?
Yeah.
About 21 in that picture.
So that's a college picture.
Mm-hmm.
I'll speak up, and then there's another one below you when your ballet dress.
In your dancing, we decided your mother was about 10 years old then, and your grandmother had made the dress.
Mom, what's that dress made out of?
Malene.
Malene?
Mm-hmm.
What is Malene? Is that something that they make ballet dresses?
Yeah, it's kind of like gauze.
Kind of like gauze.
Mm-hmm.
And your mom made that for you?
Yeah.
Aunt Bertie sewed beautifully.
Okay. And that little picture down there, is that an Ammons?
The little tiny round
Yeah.
oval one? Yes, that is your grandmother Ammons.
My great-grandmother Ammons.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so that was my grandmother, Faye's grandmother. Faye's mother, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then over there next to you, Mom, is that...
That's Aunt Nora.
That's Aunt Nora in the hat?
In the beautiful plume hat.
So I always get those two confused. I have a hard time telling them apart. That's Aunt Nora.
Okay.
And then up next to her again, that's Papa Carswell.
Yes.
And then straight on across. Is that Uncle Top?
That's Uncle Top when he was a young man.
Now he was your parents' brothers, right?
Yes, he's our uncle.
He's your uncle, and he was older than them.
No, he was the baby of the family.
Oh, he was even younger than.
The mother?
Yes, mother or Aunt Nora.
He was younger than Aunt Nora or mother?
He was the youngest one of a large family.
Whoops, I lost him. And what happened to him? Other than he eventually passed away.
He was the one.
He was the one that wrote the songs, the songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
And his song, we've got a piece of sheet music around here somewhere.
Tell me how you used to go.
And he was a songwriter. And I used to have a piece of sheet music with his name on it. And it's said, written by Thomas Townley. Introduced, let's see, what did it say? Introduced Ziegfeld Follies, 1926, I think.
He actually had some music played on the Ziegfeld Follies?
That's what it said on the cover sheet. Introduced in the Ziegfeld Follies. That's what it said.
And he was really one of your mother's favorites.
Oh yeah,
Tell him how you down to see when you were at Cornell.
yeah. When I was at Cornell, yeah,
She'd go down to New York City.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd call me up, he'd say, come on down, we'll go to a play or something. I'd say, oh, I'd love that. So off I'd go.
Yeah, he lived in New York at that time?
He was in New York City at that time.
And so you go down to New York and see Uncle Top?
I'd go down to New York and see Uncle Top. And I really enjoyed that meal. That was fun for me. He would figure out a way to work it. He was not a rich man. He'd lost a lot of money writing songs. They never did sell too well.
You're supposed to make money doing that, aren't you? I guess that,
Yeah, if you can.
yeah.
But
Was he the one that always had the candy jars around, or who was
That's
that?
Uncle Julian.
That was Uncle Julian. You were talking about Uncle Julian, weren't you?
Yes.
Now, is he on this wall? He's not on this wall, is
No,
he?
he's not up here.
But he was one of the brothers.
He was one of the older brothers. Yes.
I don't have a picture of Uncle Julian.
But what was the deal with the candy jars?
Well, he just had a store, and he lived in a beautiful, lovely old Victorian home that had a tremendous living room and a parlor. And he had candy jars throughout the entire house. And as a child, they were always full of candy. And as a child, when we go there, well, he'd say, help yourself, children. And you just almost make yourself sick going from one jar to another. There were about 25 rooms in that house, I'd say. You're going from one jar to another getting candy.
That's a Caswell, is it not, Mom?
What over there?
Yeah, the big guy at the top.
Yeah. Let me move. Would you rather get over here?
No, that's all right.
No, that's you're right. That's a Caswell.
That's a is that Andrew Jackson Caswell?
Sure is.
And now who's he?
He is Papa Carswell's father.
Father. So he's my great grandfather.
He is your grandfather.
No, this one's my great grandfather. And he's your grandfather. That's right. He didn't have any connections to the Civil War, did he?
Yeah,
Oh, did he?
yeah. He was wounded in the Civil War.
Andrew Jackson?
He was wounded in the Civil War. And he was the one who ended up laying 3 days on the battlefield at Franklin, Tennessee.
Okay.
That was where we went by the Battle of Franklin. Do you remember?
When we were little kids.
When we were little kids, we went through the Civil War series.
Mm-hmm. And that's where he was wounded and laid out in the field for 3 days.
That's correct.
Okay.
And it eventually killed him.
Was that what caused his death?
It seems to be everybody's general consensus that he, the exposure he received during that time.
period.
Made him kind of sickly.
Yeah, it left him kind of sickly.
Well, he lasted another 20 years or so, though, didn't he? Well, he had to have. My grandfather wasn't born for after 20 years. That's right. Top again.
No, it's my daddy.
Oh, is that your daddy?
That's my daddy.
Which
Marcus.
is? That's Uncle Marcus.
It's Uncle Marcus.
Oh, okay.
And your grandmother, Aunt Bertie.
Which one's she?
That is,
On the left?
She is the one on the right.
On the right. See, I get them confused. every
And
time.
the one on the left is Aunt Nora.
And that's the same 3 down below that?
No,
Oops.
The one on the right, of the ladies, is Aunt Nora.
Uh-huh.
The one on the left is your grandmother, Aunt Bertie. And the young man is dear Uncle Walter.
Oh,
And how we
boy,
loved him.
they look alike.
They do.
You know, now Uncle Walter is the one that I've told you about, that Mother, and look what you're doing. You are, if you're going to spit, spit in the commode. Do not spit on the floor.
I take it Uncle Walter chewed tobacco.
He did chew tobacco indeed.
Or did he dip snuff?
No, he did not dip snuff, to my knowledge.
He chewed tobacco.
He chewed tobacco, and if you were lucky, if you rode in the car with him, he had a little car called the Bluebird. Do you remember the little Bluebird?
He named his possessions.
The little Bluebird. And one time I was in college going back to West Virginia University, and I thought, I didn't know whether I was going to get there or not. He volunteered to take me to Lewisburg to catch the bus. He'd been over at my house and had Sunday dinner. Well, we got in the car, and I said, let me drive, Uncle Walter. Nonsense, he says. This little Bluebird will get completely away from you. And he put on, I was about 18 or 19 time, he put on his leather gloves, his driving gloves, I could remember, and he spit on each one like that and rubbed it together and said, well, now we're ready to get started. And I thought, oh my. And no, he said, you can't drive the little Bluebird. It was so fast it would get away from me. Each glove and rubbed them together, and off we went. And then going over there, I was just praying that the strong wind wouldn't blow back on me, because he kept rolling down the window and spitting the tobacco out the window. And I was scared to death that the tobacco juice, the wind was going to blow it back. And we got someplace, and he needed some gasoline. And he said, this is my niece, Miss Doris Townley. I mean, he gave my whole history to the gasoline attendant. And I'm trying to get her back to Lewisburg to catch a bus to go back to school. And I said, don't talk so much, Uncle Walter. I'm going to miss my bus. Well, all right. I said, let me drive. No, sir. He said, I told you once the little Bluebird could get away from you.
How old was he about this time?
Well, I'm sure he probably was early 70s,
Early
late
70s?
60s, late 60s, early 70s.
But he was still flying around in his little Bluebird.
In his little Bluebird. And all the children loved Uncle Walter. He always had chewing gum in his pockets. And he could do the neatest things. He could take wood in the spring and make whistles for the kids to blow through.
Mm-hmm.
He could
It's really neat.
tell him about it, Peggy. Tell him your recall of Uncle Walter.
Now, was Uncle Walter, Mom, the same one who liked to drink the water and the milk out of the same glass?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
Uncle Walter.
Well, now, what did he do?
Oh, he used to drive Aunt Nora absolutely up the wall. He would reach over and get hold of the water pitcher and pour the water into the
Milk.
Pour the water into the milk.
In the glass he used to be drinking the milk out of?
It would make it all murky looking.
Uh-huh.
Well, and Aunt Nora would say, Walter, you don't have to do that. We've got plenty of glasses. And Uncle Walter would say, I know it, but what's the use of messing another one up? It's just going to go down in my stomach and get mixed up down there anyway. And of course he was right about that.
But that just didn't sit so well with Aunt Noni.
No, Aunt Nora found that offensive.
Telephone female.
Okay.
He's tall. They're all tall men.
They're all tall, man.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now over there underneath those two pictures, that's Aunt Noni again, right?
Let's see, yes. And Peggy, that was made at Atlantic City, wasn't it?
No.
Where was that made?
Portland, Maine.
Portland, Maine. Do you have the strength to tell, wasn't that a trip that you went on with
You keep moving around.
Get your mother to tell you about the trip made in
I
Portland,
don't
Maine.
have the vaguest notion about that trip.
You don't remember? I'll be back.
I remember
Don't
nothing
remember?
about it.
You don't remember anything about that trip.
Except that we made it, and that picture was...
Tell me a little bit about Aunt Noni.
Aunt Noni was a lovely, gracious woman. She meant the world and all to me.
Mm-hmm.
Thought it was funny. It seemed so ordinary to me, I don't know that I remember it very well.
I know it's more Dad's story.
Yeah. He thought it was enormously funny.
Well, tell me, Aunt Noni, you used to go up to Aunt Noni's, right?
Yeah.
How often did you go up to Aunt Noni's when you were a kid?
We went up there every other summer
Every other summer?
and spent the entire summer. And for me, it was a glorious, glorious occasion. I would get so excited I couldn't contain myself. I would always get sick. And when I say I couldn't contain myself, I'm talking literally. I couldn't contain it. I
Yeah.
would always throw up before I got to Clifton Forge.
But y'all used to go up there and see them, and Uncle Milton was there.
Yeah, and he would meet us at the train station in Clifton Forge. And that was pretty exciting then too, because this was in the days of coal.
In the days of coal trains?
Yeah, it sure was.
That's right. He gave them a wonderful day.
And so y'all go up there. Now, was the rest of the family always around, or was it just you and your mom, or?
That's where we would see, Mother would see all the rest of her family.
Would they all come to Clifton Forge, or?
Yeah, they would come to Clifton Forge, or we would arrange sometime while we were there that the Virginia relatives would come into Clifton Forge, and we would all get together and have a picnic or something.
What? And is that kind of how you decided to go to school up in Virginia?
Yeah,
To be up near them and?
it really was.
Oops.
I met a number of girls in Clifton Forge who were going to school over at Randolph-Macon,
Mm-hmm.
and they suggested that I come and visit them at school. And I thought, that's nifty, I think I'll do that, and I did. And I thought Randolph-Macon was a nifty school, and I went there and as a matter of fact, they recruited me, of course.
Mm-hmm. While you're up there. And it worked out, and you liked it?
I worked out, I liked it, and I decided that's what I wanted to do. And it was agreeable with my parents.
Sure. And did you get to see a lot of Aunt Noni and
Oh,
the
yeah.
relatives while you're up there?
Oh, yeah.
How did you happen to transfer from Randolph-Macon Women's College to Cornell?
Oh,
What made you decide to take the last 2 years there? Do you know?
no, not really. Only sort of.
A child growing up there, I think he would really love to have that. And what the college campuses were like, devoid of men except the men in uniform, during the war years when you were in college. I think he would love to have that.
Yeah.
Tell him about Avalon. Do you feel like doing it now? You too tired? Andrew Jackson Caswell's wife.
Oh, wife. So that's his wife. That's on the other side.
Yes.
Okay. I'm glad you've got these down here.
I wouldn't have had if your mother hadn't just got through telling me.
Okay, and then next to her, that's Aunt Noni or my
No,
grandmother
that's your
again?
grandmother.
That's my grandmother
And the
again.
hat.
No,
Oh, this one? This is Aunt Nora.
that's Aunt Nora.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And then in the hat,
Directly above her.
you know, to me that looks almost exactly like my mother. I don't know.
It does.
I couldn't tell the difference when I first saw that picture.
That is Aunt Bertie, your grandmother.
Your Aunt Bertie, my grandmother.
That's right.
Okay, and then down below her, that's Mom.
Isn't that precious?
That is pretty nice. I like that.
Which one?
The one in the bonnet
With the little bonnet.
that your mother made for you.
And then below her, that's Uncle Milton.
That's right.
That's Aunt Noni's. He died when, about 54?
Yeah.
It was before I came around. I never
That's
got to
right.
meet Uncle Milton.
He was a wonderful person.
Mm-hmm.
He really was.
He was
We
an
adored him.
he was an outstanding person.
Now, did he found Whiting Oil Company?
Yeah.
Yes.
He was the beginning of Whiting Oil Company. Okay. And then over there next to him, I think that's my grandfather, is it not? Yeah.
Here,
Yeah, that's my grandfather Carswell again.
that's right, and his mother.
His
That'd
mother.
be your,
Great-grandmother.
no, yeah.
And what was her name, Mom? Oh, that's the same person that's over there, isn't it? That's Andrew Jackson Caswell's wife. I mean, husband. Or, yeah, wife. There we go. And then, here's that cute little kid up there right above him.
Oh, that's William Peacock.
William Peacock III, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is.
And here's that ugly little kid next to him. That must be...
Isn't any ugly little kid next to him?
I'm sorry, Mom. That must be my brother Tom Peacock. And then,
Sorry you can't get away with that.
and then is that my mother, my grandmother next to
That's your
him?
grandmother,
Right there.
Aunt Bertie.
And then I've got everybody else. And she was a little bitty baby.
You have to help